The videotape that you're about to see has been developed to offer to your band a set of standard marching techniques. These techniques have been developed through my 20 years of experience as a band director and clinician. They're developed to give your band a uniform style of marching and should be rehearsed to the point that they become second nature to all your performers. I would emphasize that each segment of your band, not only the wind players but also percussionists, color guard, and other auxiliary, should work to develop this uniform style. This will be the first of several tapes which are designed to offer you a simple, consistent way to develop a marching program for your performing group. The most important basic skill for any individual performer to master is that of proper posture. It is through one's posture and presence that he or she shows pride in him or herself as an individual and pride in the entire unit. In the style that we are demonstrating, you will notice that the heels and toes of each individual are placed together. This foot placement eliminates any possible error that could be created when placing the feet at any other angle. This position provides good balance and also is naturally adapted into the mark time and step style which will be introduced later. Each individual's hips and shoulders should line up as closely as possible above the heels, and great care should be taken with the face and eyes. The face should be slightly elevated and the eyes should be focused at a point above the horizon. This posture should be maintained throughout all movement and while at halt. Here you see an exercise which demonstrates the breakdown of posture. Since timing is of the utmost importance to a marching unit, our vocal command system will utilize a rest count. This will provide an accurate pulse to the performer. The rest count occurs between the initiation and execution of the command. The band director, drum major, or commanding officer addresses the unit when calling them to attention in the following manner. Band 10, hut, rest and hit, as you were. Band 10 hut gets the attention of the group and prepares them to come to attention. The rest count allows time to prepare for movement, and move at the end of the command is the moment at which the movement occurs, as you were. In some instances, as you will see later, the movement is initiated on the rest count. The rest count can be vocalized or the commander can choose to leave it silent. For example, band 10 hut, move. This command response system will remain consistent throughout all the maneuvers described on this video. The main concern in instrument carriage, particularly in a carry position, is consistency within each section. It is not practical to carry a piccolo as one carries a trumpet and play it effectively. So what we will strive for is uniformity within each individual section. Different bands may choose different hand positions and styles of carriage, but all section members should strive for uniformity. The director and section leaders should decide on all details concerning horn carriage, with careful attention given to the overall appearance of the group. The one consistent thing that we need to accomplish is to carry each instrument in such a way that it can effectively be raised to playing position within one count. We'll now have Andy demonstrate this technique. Band, horns up, rest and hit. Band, horns down, rest and hit. This movement works equally well for mellophone, trombone, and bell front baritone. For those instruments, plus the flute, the parallel to the ground carriage gives a very neat appearance and an excellent point of reference for the performer. The saxophones can be carried directly in front of the body when in playing position. Clarinets should not attempt to alter the angle at which they normally play the instrument. Bell front marching baritones, mellophones, trombones, and trumpets share the same movement and carriage style. Euphoniums, baritone horns, tubas, and sousaphones should be concerned with standardizing hand positions within their sections and with raising the instrument to playing position with the least amount of movement. Percussionists, by the nature of their carriers and equipment, tend to appear uniform, but careful attention should be given to hand position. Auxiliaries need only to standardize hand position and equipment angles. Added emphasis can be attained by adding an audible drum click or other sound. Bend, horns up, rest and hit. The mark time exists to maintain pulse without moving or without a form change. We're going to demonstrate both the high and the low mark time with the idea that both can be effective depending on the choice of the director and the style of the music. The director, in this case, needs only to indicate where the performer will feel the pulse. In this case, the pulse point will be the heel. This particular low mark time is utilized by having the student lift the entire foot parallel to the ground to approximately a 1-inch level, and then returning the foot to the original position. In summary, the low mark time style that we're utilizing here keeps the pulse in the heel, offers a low exposure to error, and adapts well into the step style which we'll be presenting later. The high mark time is much more difficult to execute in a uniform manner, requires much more effort from the individual performer, but adds tremendous visual energy to any performance. The style of mark time that we are demonstrating is the natural drop, where at the top of the leg lift the ankle meets the knee while the foot and toes hang naturally. This style will now be utilized to give a breakdown exercise for the mark time. To demonstrate, I will subdivide each step into 4 segments. On count 1, the heel is lifted as the toe remains in place. This is to emphasize to the performer that the toe leaves the ground last. On count 2 of the breakdown, the ankle is raised to the knee of the supporting leg. Care should be taken to assure that the supporting leg is straight. This segment of the breakdown emphasizes the height to which the leg is lifted. On count 3 of the breakdown, the toe touches the ground as the heel remains elevated. The emphasis here is on the fact that the toe and heel touch the ground at separate times. Count 4 returns the heel to its original position. Here's a sample of the breakdown exercise, first using each leg individually and then alternating feet in order to establish uniformity from leg to leg. The next step is to speed up the exercise and finally to naturally increase to a marching tempo. Care should be taken here to place emphasis on the downbeat in order that the performer avoids visually emphasizing the upbeat. Many times in counting, we tend to accent the and count. Therefore, the top of the lift becomes accented, and we lose the pulse. We don't have uniformity throughout the entire count. The high mark time will require a lot more time in rehearsal, but it adds a tremendous amount of excitement and energy to any performance. The step-off should be as natural as walking across a room, but it creates a lot of problems for beginners. In this demonstration, we're going to preface the step-off with a 4-count mark time. This is not required, but it establishes a pulse before we create movement. I will give the command, mark, time, march, rest, and move. This can be designed into your program if you wish. Mark, time, march, rest, and 1, 2, 3, 4, hit. The actual step-off in these demonstrations will occur with the left foot. One of the important things which happens is that on the count preceding the step-off, the right foot is planted solidly with the heel on the ground, and the feet even with each other. By planting the heel, the student eliminates the potential to step backwards in anticipation of the step-off. Since many marching errors occur on the first step, the foot plant, when properly executed, helps eliminate many of them. Mark, time, march, rest, stand. 1, 2, 3, 4, hit. Plant the feet evenly and make the first step a full step. The left foot is moved forward with an emphasis on lifting the toe while keeping the heel low. There's no lifting of the foot, and the concept here is to have the heel strike the marching surface exactly on the beat. During the learning process, care should be taken to make sure that the first step is a full-length step. As adjusted step is added later on, the first step should be equivalent to the size of the other steps.
Roll.
Mark, time, march, forward, move. After rehearsing the first step for both proper length and style, the next procedure would be to move into the area of continuous step. The emphasis here will be placed on arching the foot back as far as possible, rolling the feet evenly through each step, placing each foot during the step in such a way that the feet are pointed straight ahead. Bend, halt. To give some idea about what inconsistencies to look for, one common problem is improper foot angle. Mark, time, march, forward, move. The student can be corrected by having he or she put the foot straight ahead. Another common error is the tendency to place the toe down first. This is corrected by emphasizing the heel position. One of the important things to remember is that the step style remains uniform regardless of the length of step. We have demonstrated 8 steps to 5 yards, or a 22.5-inch step, as a reference point. We will now adjust the step style to other lengths. Mark, time, march, forward, move. First we include a sequence at 8 steps to 5 yards, and then a sequence of 16 steps for 5 yards. As a technique study, it's a good idea to go ahead and have the students master the 8 to 5 step first. Then proceed on to exercises such as the one demonstrated here, which offers not only 8 to 5, but also 12 to 5 and 16 to 5. Mark, time, hut, forward, move. Notice that throughout the exercise, the step style remains the same as with the original step. By remaining uniform regardless of step size, the performers can satisfy adjudicators whose job it is to evaluate consistency and style. In addition to providing uniformity for performers, this step style also provides an excellent plane of performance for the wind player to secure his embouchure, for better control of equipment for auxiliaries, and for a better playing surface for percussionists. Throughout the step style, the heel serves as the pulse point, regardless of the size of step. Continue to remind performers to arch the foot back and have them make the bend of the knee as natural as possible. An exaggeration of the knee offers more potential for inconsistency between individuals. The next technique which we will introduce is the drag halt. As a general comment, the first step and the last step of most movement are the two areas where most marching errors occur. The step off because of an insecurity about where the individual is going, and the halt because of the anticipation of stopping. By developing a halt technique, the potential halt error diminishes. The drag halt involves delaying the closing of the feet until the last possible moment. All of the halts demonstrated here will be executed with the right foot stopping the motion and the left foot closing the feet together. Notice the exaggerated delay on the next to last count. The drag halt can be performed into a marked time or into a dead halt. Mark, time, hut. Turns are a technique for changing direction in more than one count. The turns which will be demonstrated on this tape will all be executed in 4 counts, but could be executed in a variety of counts. These turns can be utilized at about any time that the unit is at least 2 steps apart and are possibly the most useful way to change direction. Ready? Move. A quarter turn is a 90-degree turn in either direction. A half turn is a 180-degree turn in either direction. A whole turn is a 360-degree turn, which leaves the performer facing his or her original direction. It is generally used for a special effect. Flanks are defined as a change of direction in one count. The good thing about them is it allows the designer to design throughout the musical phrase. Mark, time, march. Flanks are also recognized as individual actions, which are more difficult to execute, therefore earning more credit during adjudication. We will begin our series of flank movements with the left flank. Forward, move. The technique for properly executing the left flank calls for the pivot to occur on the ball of the right foot. The first step in the new direction is taken with the left foot at a 90-degree angle to the original direction. The upper body should remain firm and can add extra crispness to the technique. To gain maximum effect from the left flank, it is necessary to delay until the last possible instant before changing direction. This delay is based on the same principle utilized earlier with the drag halt. Band, halt. In order to continue in a logical teaching sequence, the next flank taught should be the to the rear march. Mark, time, march. Forward, move. The movement is initiated exactly as the left flank, but changes direction 180 degrees as opposed to the 90-degree angle of the left flank. The pivot again occurs on the balls of the feet, and the first step in the new direction is taken with the left foot. Band, halt. The right flank utilizes a slightly different technique. Mark, time, march. Ready, move. The pivot occurs once again on the ball of the right foot, but in order to flank right, the left foot must cross in front of the right. Because of the distance that the left leg must travel, it is not possible to delay movement as long as in the left flank. Band, halt. The lateral slide, which is sometimes called the traverse, is a technique which allows the performer to move laterally while projecting their equipment or instrument to the audience. The slide utilizes many of the techniques which have been presented previously. Mark, time, march. For the demonstration here, we will utilize the 8-to-5 step and will use turns to set up the movement. In order to maintain the projection of the instrument to the audience, the hips and lower body must shift to the new direction of march as the shoulders remain square to the original direction. Lower body control and posture should be consistent with those techniques utilized earlier in the tape. Depending on the individual instrument, it is sometimes beneficial to aim the leading elbow along the path of march. Band, halt. The backward march is executed by having the individual raise up on their toes as he or she moves backwards. Mark, time, march. Ready, move. The foot can be slid along the marching surface, thereby eliminating a lift which would present an unnecessary exposure to error. Marching on the toes forces the performer to maintain good upper body posture and also presents a good playing surface or embouchure. Step size can vary on the backward move, with 12 steps to 5 yards being a very comfortable stride. Mastering marching techniques is essential not only for an outstanding visual performance, but also to outstanding musical performance. In fact, many fine musical organizations fail to march well enough to take advantage of their musical abilities. Marching techniques programs drawn from the written visual program generally are considered the most efficient and consistent path to success. For a performer to master any set of techniques, they must be rehearsed on a regular, consistent basis. It all boils down to an old adage: plan your work, work your plan. Good luck and have fun.